guys, it's Colleen, and I am here with, actually, now I'm going to forget your names because I do this every time.
Sorry, Philip and Emily Wegman.
Thank you. And I'm going to let them kind of tell you who they are, why they started homeschooling, or what made them start homeschooling, and we'll talk about their classes. So welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yep. Like you said, my name's Philip Wegman. This is my wife, Emily Wegman. We actually have not started homeschooling because we don't have any children yet. However, both of us were homeschooled. And the reason why we'd want to homeschool our future kids would be primarily just there's a lot of flexibility and opportunity to learn in ways not in a conventional room. So
So you guys have a little bit of a different perspective. It's not so much about you homeschooling kids as you've been homeschooled and have the kid perspective of why that was good for you guys, which is kind of unique.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was not homeschooled and my kids now are, so I'm learning just as much as they are learning because it wasn't, you know what I mean? I come from going to school and it's very blocked and very, so yeah, kind of unlearning that on my end has been just as much a challenge as them learning a different way of, or not so much a different way. I think we're kind of doing most of it the same as what they're used to, just in a little more open forum.
Yeah.
They don't have to sit in front of a computer. They don't have to sit in a chair. They can hang off their bed upside down if they want to, as long as their homework is being done. I don't care how they accomplish it. So, okay.
Yeah.
Let's see here. That's the other problem. My phone shuts off and that's where I have my list. So I guess what made you start going to conventions, sharing like your knowledge? Because I do think you have a unique perspective.
Yeah, I would say for one, we were asked, and then I think the second, and this leads into kind of some of the other kind of questions, but because we were homeschooled, I was homeschooled for the first part of my education. The second part was basically is at a private Christian school, but is basically homeschooling with supervision.
Okay.
And I work for a financial planning firm. I went and I got a 4-year degree, bachelor's degree from a public university. And then my wife got her associate's degree from ICC. She started at 16, graduated at 18, and then started a coffee shop. So I think a little bit of we speak to probably said we were talking about this probably high school age people who are trying to figure out what their path is, because from my perspective, if you do want to go to a 4-year school, you have a lot of advantage because you were homeschooled, but you have to force your path a little bit to get into the university, because if you go to a public school, you've got a guidance counselor and they kind of really help like grease the wheels for you to get in. I had to reach out to people. I had to like do an applying. I just had to kind of figure it out a little bit on my own. So from my perspective, it's say there's a lot of really cool opportunities out there, and even hopefully speak to my path to my career, which I really love, and to just encourage homeschoolers that they've got a lot of advantages, but they just kind of have to
go look. It's not
take extra initiative
handled right to them, where in high school, at a normal high school, it is like you said, you have a guidance counselor. This is the steps you need to take to accomplish whatever that goal is, or here's a goal you should probably try to attain. This is what we're going to do, because honestly, I switched my major my senior year. Like I went from marine biology to architecture, and my degree is actually for interior design. Like I switched even through architecture because I decided that really wasn't what I wanted to do either. And I think, Emily, yours is really interesting because my son is actually a freshman right now, and we're looking at possibly doing kind of the same thing you did, going to ICC to get that associate's kind of at the same age level, you know what I mean? Graduating high school and kind of having that associate's degree. And he's not sure, like he's kind of gone between the two of you, a 4-year degree and getting something like that versus just, I kind of pushed, I want an associate's, even if you're not going to use it, because it gives you some kind of college degree that nobody can take away from you. You know what I mean? Especially being homeschooled, I think, kind of like you said, there's a whole lot more that you have to push for yourself, not that somebody's going to give you. And I think the associates might I don't know, because again, I went and did the whole school thing. So, but to my thought process is you have that leg up because you have an accredited school behind you now, not just, oh, I was homeschooled.
Yeah,
Even though I
sure.
think truthfully, your education is a whole lot better homeschooled than what it is in high school. I mean, because some of his friends are still in high school and they're like, well, you get off easier. And I said, really? Do you have to redo your homework until it's right? Well, no. I said, well, he does. Like, he doesn't get that. Oh, well, I just don't feel like doing it today. So I'm going to, sorry. And there's one of my kids, go
You're good.
in a minute. Ask brother to do it. Okay. Sorry.
Fine.
And yes, my children are taking care of themselves right now. And
Yep.
so I appreciate kind of both of your avenues because yeah, as a parent, I don't really want to force them to go to a 4-year school. You know what I mean? I don't want to force the college issue, but I also really want at least some college in there so they have that stepping stone if they choose to go back later. You know what I mean? Like you went on to be your own a businesswoman, you know what I mean? I think having that at least to some degree would help. So
Yeah,
I think you
for
have a
sure.
very cool niche that you, and if and when you choose to have children, I think your children will enjoy that as well.
Mhm.
Yeah. So anyhow, that was a little bit of my story and my path. And I think I said a little bit, but I'll let Em kind of finish
Yeah,
up for
yeah.
her.
So I went to public school until 2nd grade. And then my family moved out of state. And so we started homeschooling. It's something my parents had kind of wanted to dabble in, but where we were at the time, we loved our school district. There really wasn't a reason to start homeschooling. But when we moved to Illinois, obviously all new, it was like, you know what, this is a good time to start this. So we homeschooled 2nd grade all the way through. And my dad traveled a lot for work. And so because we were homeschooled, we were able to go with him. So we would travel for up to 6 weeks at a time. We were just, sometimes we took our school with us and sometimes we left it at home, just because we could do it whenever we wanted.
Right.
But then because we did that, like we went to so many historical sites, and like national parks. And I feel like I learned so much more about history and geography through those trips than reading a book. I'm much more of like a visual hands-on learner. So I love that aspect of like, okay, I don't just get to read about the cliff dwellings, I get to like be in them.
Right.
So I really like that. I just like the flexibility of it. And then, yeah, because I was able to then work ahead, I started going full-time to ICC at 16, which is my junior year. And it was definitely more challenging to get in because there was an age limit to be full-time, which was 17. And so kind of like Phil said, like you do kind of have to pave your own path a little bit more because things aren't set up for you. And if you're going to do things differently than the norm, people aren't going to know what to do with you as much. Yeah, so I took that at that time. I think you have to take the SAT, but I took an ACT. And so, yeah, I scored high enough to get in and finally got all the acceptance stuff figured out. And yeah, it was a really good experience, really growing for me. And kind of like you said, like even I went to school for graphic design. So some might say I don't use it. I feel like I use it a lot. But even if you don't use the degree that you have, I think college, you don't have to have college, but if you're like, well, I don't want to waste my time, it does teach you so much more. It teaches you like, it kind of opens your eye to the world if you haven't seen much. It shows you how to like work alongside with people, how to be taught by someone that's not your family, how to kind of go in and ask the right questions and do interviews or meetings. And
Right. There's more lessons than just the actual school lesson you're going is well, and like you said, you're not really using, or people say you're not using your graphic design. Well, legitimately you use graphic design almost on a daily basis because I went for interior design and I may not use specifically interior design, but like you said, there's graphic design in there. Just how to talk to people, how to get along with people, because unfortunately there are none of your, you know what I mean, acquaintances meetings are always, oh, we both like each other and this is going to be great. I mean, some of them are, for lack of a better word, pains in the butts. You know what I mean? And you still have to get along with them and you still have to work with them. And when you're homeschooled, I think you lose some of that because like in school, you still have those same, you know what I mean? You have people that are in your class that you don't get along with. You have teachers that you don't get along with. Well, when homeschool, it's your mom or dad or both, or you know what I mean? you may not get along with them all the time, but you know what I mean? Personality wise, you tend to end up back at a good spot where, you know what I mean? You have teachers in high school, especially, that are just not the right fit, not, and college is the same way. And so is life. You know what I mean? When the more you get into it, the more it becomes evident. So, well, I guess if you can tell a little bit about your classes and when they are, and just kind of what you feel would be beneficial for somebody that would like to take that class, like why they would take your class.
So I think we only have one on
Yeah, I was gonna say,
Saturday,
I think it's one.
and I forget which time it is. I want to say like, I think it's in the morning.
I'll look that up.
Let me see if I can find it real fast. Okay, it is Saturday at 10:30. Alternative career paths: the story of Fairy Coffee. Is it Fairy Coffee?
Fair.
Faire Coffee. Okay. I was gonna say, I knew I was gonna pronounce that wrong.
You're good.
That's okay. And I mean, as it says, and kind of like what we've talked about before, I think our class would probably can be for anyone, but primarily probably for parents of high school age homeschoolers or high school age homeschoolers who are trying to figure out what's past this. And you know, I took a more traditional route. Emily didn't take as traditional of a route, but I think we can speak to a lot of, hey, if you're wanting to go to 4-year college, like you have to, like, not like specific things, but a little bit of an encouragement of like, you've got to go out and actually do it yourself. And then encouragement from Emily on her end of like, hey, community college is also a great way to go to get started. And then, so we kind of said high school age kids, parents of high school age kids, and then finally probably people who are like want to maybe start a business or something like that.
Entrepreneurs.
Okay.
Entrepreneurs. Yeah. I feel like in that too, we could also share, if you're going into the workforce, like a lot of things that as an employer I look for in people. Like when I interview, things that I'm observing as the interview is happening, but then also like what kind of attributes and characteristics we're looking for.
Okay. Because
Again,
I
that's
think,
not by the wayside. So I think encouragement and knowing what employers are looking for would also be important.
I was going to say, I agree, because again, as a homeschooler, you don't meet so many people, and more importantly, you tend not to present yourself to other people as much as you do like in high school. Because again, you're meeting in high school that you switch classes, you switch teachers, you know what I mean? You switch schools.
Yep.
Gracie? Oh, I don't get food. Just leave it sit there, please. Thank you. My very overly helpful child today.
Oh, that's so nice.
But yes, she fixed lunch, so my lunch is ready.
There you go.
But I do agree. I mean, I think, and knowing what prospective employers want to hear, or not necessarily want to hear, but what they're going to ask, what they look for, because I know I do youth, and some of our youth group is very, you know what I mean, timid, and they will only ask when spoken to. Well, okay, there, that serves a purpose, but like in an interview, you kind of want to be more proactive than just sit there and wait for the question to come to you, or you know what I mean, don't elaborate, just answer the question yes or no, and then you stop. Well, again, most employers want to hear a little more about you. That's why you're there for an interview. So yeah, I think that would definitely help. So last thing before my lovely daughter comes and interrupts again, is what is the like tidbit or motto or anything like that that you guys like to use?
I don't know if we have a tidbit or motto.
I always say is how hard can it be?
Oh,
Okay,
how
well,
hard
that
could it be?
works. I was gonna say mine is smile. Like that's, I always tell people, just smile. If anything else, smile.
Yeah, I don't know. Shoot, we should have thought about that a little better.
I think that's good. How hard could it be?
Well, and realistically, that's true. I mean, again, if you put any effort into most things, you can come out on the other side of it with a good outcome. You know what I mean? Most things, the fear of doing it stops you from trying for some people. And that's kind of what I always tell my kids. The worst is you're going to fail, and then you pick yourself up and you start over again and again. The more you do that, I mean, failing is part of learning, so you need to do that.
Yeah.
Well, I appreciate it very much. I will let you guys go. And like I said before, my daughter comes back and interrupts anymore. So I appreciate it. And I hope this will help somebody, especially the high schoolers, maybe at least their parents say, okay, well, I think you should go to this class, you know, get you guys some classmates and get you the right people that need to be there and want to be there instead of somebody that accidentally didn't read very well, or, you know, because that was always my thing. I was like, I did really well last year reading for myself, but I know I went through and read them, you know what I mean? And I'm like, okay, well, what about this one versus, you know, and I think
There's a lot.
sometimes meeting, or at least hearing, you know, who's going to be speaking to me kind of goes, oh, well, I would rather talk or, you know, listen to them versus somebody else. So I appreciate your time. We'll talk to you soon.
Sounds
All right,
good.
thank you.
Thanks.
Bye.
Bye.